Hello everyone and welcome to another week with Dala Creative TV. This week we are going to experiment a little bit with Dala's chalk paint and use it as a fabric dye. As a textile sculptor, I always look for new ideas, new fabrics and fibers and things that I can do to alter the look of it, like for instance, dyeing it. These fabrics I've dyed with natural ingredients, like this one is with turmeric. I also used avocado pits and I've also dyed with tea and coffee and with beetroot. But it is extremely difficult to get colors like green and blue and purple with natural ingredients, especially if you can't find it. So today I am going to dye another pink because I want to see what it looks like with the chalk paint. I'm also going to dye a green and then a light gray, which is almost like a dove blue to me, which will be perfect for my vintage projects. All you need to do this experiment with me is to have some natural fabrics and fibers and a couple of colors of chalk paint, and then a bowl with lukewarm water and an iron to heat set it afterwards. I'm going to start with the green because I'm really curious to see what the results is going to be like, because with the natural elements the green tends to be like a yellow green, and you cannot I've never found any natural ingredients that makes a sage green like this. Okay, so all I'm doing is I've got approximately a liter of luke to warm water and a tablespoon of chalk paint, and I'm just going to mix it to make sure that everything is diluted. If the paint does not dilute completely in the water, it will sink to the bottom, and once you dip your fabric in it, it will leave solid marks on the fabric, and that's not what I want. I want to try and color it an equal green. Okay, so it's time to get my hands into the water and swirl my fingers around to make sure that all the paint dilutes in the water. And yes, I've never done this before. Someone on Facebook asked me if I've tried it before when they saw my natural dyed fabrics, and I thought it would be interesting to do an experimental video and record it to see what the results would be. Okay, so now I've got some natural fabrics like unbleached cotton, I've got linen, I also have 100% cotton, and then I also have some wool, some mop wool and twine, and I think the lace is not natural. The anglace piece of fabric that I've got here, or strip that I have here, I think that is synthetic. Now you can see that not all the paint diluted. Some of it did drop down to the bottom, and it made marks on my fabric. Now in certain instances that would actually look perfect, especially if you have a project with a grungy effect. But this color leans it more self to vintage type of projects. So I'm quickly going to rinse it out and try again. Okay, I've rinsed most of it out. I'm going to try this again, but I'm just going to swirl my fingers around a little bit more just to make sure that I've got most of the fabric diluted. I also used lukewarm water, so maybe in the next round I will make the water slightly warmer. Okay, so I'm going to first do it with the mop wool. I love this color. It is absolutely fabulous. I'm just going to give it a squeeze to get most of the paint out, because we don't want the chalk paint to harden the fabrics and the fibers. So the important thing to remember when you do use chalk paint as a dye is not to soak your fabrics in it, because the paint will sit between the open areas in your fabric, in between the weave, and then it will become hard, and then your fabric is going to be hard. Okay, so let's see what it's going to do with the anglaise. Oh, I love this color. I can see that I still have some marks on it, but I'm quickly going to see what happens if I rub a little bit on it. It seems like I can rub it out, so I'm just going to continue with this batch and see what happens. What I love most about dyeing different fabrics and fibers is to see how the color varies with different fabrics. You use the same dye bath, and then on cotton it's a different shade, and on linen it is a different color, and I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that I can use these pieces of fabric in my journal projects, or in my mixed media, or in my sculptures. And like I've said, I've never done this before with chalk paint, so I would not go out and dye fabric to make a garment with yet. This is just for my craft projects and for my art, so I don't mind it if it's not perfect. You can see that I'm rubbing the fabric a little bit to get those dark particles out, and it seems to be working, so I'm just going to do that. And then with the next batch, I'm going to make the water slightly warmer. Okay, so my water is slightly warmer. I can still get my hands in it though, to mix up the paint, but it is warmer than the previous one with the green. So I'm going to try the gray. It looks blue to me, but it's a gray color. So I'm going to mix that in, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I did with the green batch. And I all of a sudden just realized that I can mix with my paintbrush, because the paintbrush will ensure that the paint particles that drop to the bottom, I can scrape it off, and it will then dilute into the water. And it seems to be working fine. Okay, so I'm ready to dip my wool, natural wool, and my mop wool in. The color is not that vibrant, it is very toned down, but it is meant for shabby, chic or vintage projects. I actually love it, it is beautiful. If you look at the bottle or the tub, it looks more blue than grey, but after I squeeze the water out, my fibers looks more grey than blue. But I am going to continue just dipping this crocheted lace in it, and I absolutely love how the colors come out on this crocheted lace, even in the green. It is absolutely stunning, and I actually feel that I need to go and buy more lace to dye bigger pieces of it. Okay, so now I'm going to put the fabric in to see if it picks up any particles, and you can see that this time around with the warmer water it seemed to mix more thoroughly, and we don't have any paint at the bottom that will leave those dark spots on the fabric. Again, some of the fabrics render a more bluish color, whilst the cotton, the 100% cotton, seems to look more grey than blue. But I love it. I love the different tones the different fabrics gives me. One of the fabrics that I love to work with in my artwork is muslin cloth, and that's no matter what you use to dye that with, the colors always come out spectacular, and the fabric really reacts well to any type of colorant or dye that you put onto it. Okay, you can see that I picked up one or two darker spots. But as with the previous, with the green, I'm just going to rub it out like I would pretend to wash this cloth by hand. And yes, we'll see what the results will look like when it's dry. Okay, so with the pink, I've got exactly the same set of fabrics, muslin, unbleached linen, cotton, and normal linen with the fibers. And I'm also going to dye this batch with this beautiful pastel pink. Okay, so after this, I'm just going to hang them out in the sun to dry, and I'll be back in a bit with the results. My fabrics are dry and they are absolutely stunning. Now, because I use them in art projects, I don't heat set my fabrics because I don't wash my paintings or my sculptures. And if I use fabrics in a sculpture, then I seal it anyway. So for me, I like this creased effect while I was rinsing it or squeezing the paint out. So I'm not going to heat set mine, but if you want to, you can iron it with a very hot iron, not a steam iron, and just iron it on both sides to set the paint to the fabric. And like I've said, it's the first time that I'm doing it. I'm doing it for my craft projects and my art, not for fashion or to make clothes or use it in my garments, because I'm not sure what will happen if I wash it. So I hope you enjoyed this and found this information useful, and this experiment that I did. And now I know it works. The colors are beautiful, and I'm going to dye quite a couple of more batches for me. I hope you enjoyed it, and till next week, bye for now.